Before we, let's jump into this. The thing with Vanessa Guillen, and it's a very unfortunate and sad and horrible thing that happened, and I believe it was some guy that was pursuing her or whatnot and killed her and dumped her body by the river, and the girlfriend ex-girlfriend may or may not have had something to do with it.
Yeah,
I think she's been arrested.
Devastating story.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly, I believe. And again, like, I don't want to misspeak, but from what I understand, from what I read, that was the guy was a superior officer. He was made advances on her. Something went sideways, and he bludgeoned her and put her in a work box, and then took her in his car and met up with his ex-girlfriend or lover or whatever.
Yeah, so the story, I mean, there's a lot of different theories.
Where was this that this took place? What base?
Fort Hood.
Fort Hood, and then they dismembered her and then poured cement over it. Yeah.
Put her in a shallow grave.
Yeah. Well, it's not, I don't even know what to ask about that, but as a woman in the military, I mean, that has to be infuriating and horrifying simultaneously.
It brought up a lot of emotion, especially as a female who has been sexually harassed and sexually assaulted in the military. It brought up a lot of like, oh my gosh, I know how she feels. And her being 20 years old, you're young, and that, it goes back to like, I didn't report anything. I didn't say anything because I was young.
Wait, so you had a sexual assault and you didn't report it?
I didn't. I was terrified.
What about now? Is it too late to report something like that, or do you still live in this place of fear because you're enlisted?
I don't think I'm ready, to be completely honest. But
so now, how do you cope with that? Because that's traumatic.
I have our counselor. I've spoken to like our guy at work. I've put myself through just kind of like self-help type books, and I've gone through different resources that the military has to offer to deal with it. And I found, the gym and fitness and going to school, and I kind of
never drugs and alcohol. Do you have your struggles with that?
No.
Very nice. Do you? Must be nice to have parents that cared.
Well, I want to talk about. Well, I don't want to move on from this because I want to. I do want the perspective, what your perspective is on what is the solution to these scenarios? What is the solution to the sexual assault? What is the solution to the Vanessa Guillen story, which is on which is obviously a very extreme case, and it's probably going to be something that draws the attention that's necessary to bring about change. And why isn't this talked about more on the news than
COVID-19?
Yeah, COVID-19, or it's like a 20-year-old, military personnel is murdered and dismembered by another.
And this guy blew his head off or something, right? Didn't kill himself?
Yeah, and then it's kind of like, oh, it's not really a big deal. But then, like, if the cops shoot a guy who steals their taser and fires it on them, we're like supposed to engage in another race war. So why is it that this isn't why isn't this more widespread information? Why, and what do we do? How do we respond to this? To how can civilians say we don't want this? We don't want this for our women in the military. What do we do?
There has to be a culture change, and the culture it's not going to change. Yeah. And that's really heartbreaking to say. Mm-hmm. There are so many females. I did a calendar shoot with a bunch of veteran females last year, and every single one of them had been sexually harassed. Every single one of them, had problems with superiors and things like that. Or they went and said something like, hey, this dude's making me feel really uncomfortable. My, my superior came on to me or whatever, and nothing happened. and these are some incredibly strong females who actually came forward and said something. But sadly, it's just, I don't feel like there's going to be a change. We can report all we want, but going through for the Air Force, like green dot training or sapper or any type of sharp, like, cool, okay, let's check that box. Here's your, read this PowerPoint presentation and we'll call it a day. There needs to actually be accountability and change and action that comes with that, especially for the individuals who commit those offenses, instead of like, oh, hey, you sexually harassed this female. That's cool, man. We'll go ahead and promote you. And
here's an Article 15, maybe.
Not even that. They'll brush it under the rug and they'll move the female, or the female is going to start being treated poorly, and granted, that's not with every case, but people need to be held accountable for what they're doing and shouldn't be rewarded. Like, oh, you harassed or assaulted this female. You know what? Let's give you your basic preference. You want to go to Italy? Go to Italy. Like, it shouldn't be that way. People need to be held accountable for it.
And I think how many times we've mentioned on this show accountability, right? And it's because, like, and you're right. And I was curious to hear what you're going to say, because it's not going to change. Just like racism in America isn't going to change. I mean, can it slowly by little? Yeah, but it's going to be the same, And it's sad to think that a black guy that wants to play hockey has to just assume that he's going to hear the N-word once or twice because it's not a African-American dominated sport. Same thing with a woman that joins the military, just has to go, well, I know what I'm signing up for. I really love to be.
Hockey players are racist? Well, so bummed, bro.
Well, I mean, they're trying to
Have you been to Canada? These are the nicest motherfuckers.
No, I know. There's actually a few of them. Evander Kane, there's a few that have started this thing that's, and they're actually after that's. But here's the thing is, like, these things happen and small changes happen.
Yeah.
So more of the hockey players, I have friends, my buddy Rich Clune and a few other guys that pushing for this, make hockey an all-together thing. Like, you didn't realize that how dominated it was. And, these guys have to hear a lot of shit, whether it's in the locker room, whether it's from fans, whatever. I mean, and these are some of the things that I would feel like an African-American guy has to go through to make it to the NHL. And most of them get there and dominate fights, score. Like, these guys are good hockey players, and that's all that should matter. But sadly, where we live, and it's the same thing with the military is
Jackie
going.
Robinson, whole thing.
Am I a woman? And I'd love to be in the Air Force. I'd love to be in the Army. And I guess I just got to accept that at some point I'm going to be sexually harassed, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's fucking horrifying.
There was a Wisconsin Air National Guard colonel who was just relieved of her position for saying something very similar to that, like, oh, I'm definitely gonna misquote it, but it's something that people need to read. Having somebody as a female in that position saying a comment of, oh, you should know what you're getting yourself into, absolutely not. Because what does that show?
Right.
Oh, I can get promoted and do whatever I want and still be this way to people and not, protect the people who are protecting the country.
How do you feel? So how do you, as a woman in the military with other women who are serving, who are the victims of sexual harassment and sexual assault, I always wonder, like, there's in Hollywood, there's a whole genre of there's a whole movement of women who have falsely used the Me Too movement to get a payday. And you've seen it with, I've experienced it. Johnny Depp went through this.
Yeah, being called a bitch doesn't qualify.
Yeah, and then
on a daily basis.
Well, yeah, I know, and then a lot of what these, and it's not necessarily always the women. It's like, what happens is there are law firms that specifically are invested, and they make hundreds of millions of dollars by suing male celebrities who just simply have a relationship or end a relationship with a woman who is not of the same earning capacity, and and so I'm just like, how, and then also even the purveyors of the Me Too movement, how they ignore, Joe Biden's sexual assault claims or his
head rubbing.
Yeah, or his inappropriate touching of children, his groping and molesting of children in public.
Hey man, want to not rub my kid's head? Thanks.
And so, you have like all the witch hunters who are the purveyors of this movement, and a lot of good was done. You know, we put a lot of bad people away, like Epstein, Weinstein. These guys fucking got, you know, they got what was good for them. But also in the process, you know, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of unpublished settlements that never went to court because men of wealth just had to fork over the dough to these like Instagram models and playmates and, you know, fake victims, you know. So what do you think about that?
I think I'm gonna shoot my shot.
Yeah,
Not suing one of these guys.
you should. Listen, start your OnlyFans. They might drop in your DMs,
I'm
bro.
just gonna be like, Johnny Depp has been sexually fucking harassing me, and it's too much. I've had enough.
It's as believable as Kanye West for president.
Stop, dude.
I think, you know, there just needs to be a change with everything, and I don't have solutions. I don't have answers. I wish I did. There, you know, with the Vanessa Guillen, there are some congresswomen who are coming forward who are like, you know what, we want to represent this family because the family was just fed lies and bullshit, and you know, they deserve to know the truth. They deserve that closure, and that was their daughter, you know, and it's every female. It's our sister too, you know.
But
and
I feel like, isn't the closure gonna be here's some money?
I would hope not. And for some people, they say, you know, oh, the closure is, oh, he killed himself, so that should be closure enough. But that's not, because he may have.
If he killed himself.
Yeah.
Was he friends with Epstein or not?
Yeah.
The Clintons?
Yeah.
But,
well, before we get out of here, so what's going on with you guys with as far as the base and the COVID and the masks and all the shit? How social distance and bananas are you guys on base, or is it even you got back here before it was a thing over there, or even?
Oh no, it was really big over there too. So we were in a smaller area. And so, you know, it was, you know, the mask regulation came out, the social distancing, you had to be 6 feet apart. And then in the chow hall, they would only let a certain amount of people in.
And are they giving you N95, like real masks
No.
and shit, or it's just here's a fucking
Nope.
bandana?
Yeah, it was basically like, here, you know, they never gave us anything. We made a lot of stuff. Some of us had like,
As we love doing.
yeah, you know,
Give me an idea to create. I'm in.
and we had a lot of people come up with really cool ideas too,
Yeah.
and like you'd see people making
fucking poncho liner around my face. Let's get it.
yeah, whoobies, you know, like, and we
What
saw
is a whoopee?
they're the best blankets ever.
Oh,
But,
okay.
yeah,
It's so good.
I'll get you one. They're really awesome.
All
But
right.
It's just this like
Got a fucking
it's this
whoopee.
material that's it is
It's like a
amazing.
nickname, whoopee.
yeah,
That's what I'm gonna call you from now on. My little white blanket over here. So I'm gonna wear them on my head.
My little
hood.
whoopee.
You know?
but you know, they took things very seriously over there, and I think the DoD kind of, you know, they've all taken things very seriously. We all saw the policies that came down, all the memorandums, but because COVID changed so rapidly, you know, and they didn't really know what to do, a lot of our policies changed, you know, weekly and daily, and things just were like, okay, we'll wear a mask, like we're not going to do anything else until it changes 10 other times, you know. But we weren't back in time to be around the people who had to like leave work and who had to telework or not even come in at all. So
But now, don't you work in a hospital setting?
no, I don't.
Oh, have you seen personally firsthand cases or anything, or people?
No,
catching it?
I've been in quarantine. So I got off quarantine like 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, we're not supposed to be going
So
anywhere.
has all
doing
activity
anything.
kind of been shut down?
Where I'm at, yeah, for the most part. I mean, you know, I still
Now's the
went
time
out.
to
I
hit the
still went out
fucking
and got
armory.
groceries. So yeah, but yeah, like we were supposed to be, you know, staying indoors and staying away from people in case we were going to be symptomatic or anything like that. But we went back to work on Friday, and it was, you know, the masks and the social distancing, and they're, you know, complying. The DoD's complying with whatever the CDC is.
In uniform or
out.
in whatever Kayla feels like wearing?
I wish it was whatever I felt like wearing, but no, uniform.
All right.
But the CDC and the World Health Organization keep changing what they say.
They do, yeah.
I know. on 4th of July, I've temporarily posted the. Did you see that? Oh, I'll read it to you. So this is the
thing with
California,
the yellow
the
stuff?
California
Yeah.
Civil Code, section 51-7A, And basically, the civil code states that no business is allowed to refuse service based on no mask. That if you have a health condition. So I have asthma and emphysema, and so I had this whole situation where in the gym they were trying to make me wear a mask. And I'm like, I'm not wearing a mask. I have a doctor's note. I have a government signed paperwork. I have an albuterol pump. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And I literally was instructed by my primary care physician that it would be damaging for me to wear a mask while working out for more than 5 minutes at a time. So I'm not wearing it. And they were like, sir, please. Yeah. And I was like, just go look it up. And they looked it up and they emailed me and they're like, you were right.
Oh, we're not gonna
take it. No, we ain't gonna take. It's also hard too when you're friends with like microbiologists and they like the masks are utterly worthless. And they're literally a symbol of servitude.
Fall in line.
You're
Shut
like
up
that. Shut up and wear your masks.
All right.
But people get mad. They're like, oh, yeah, what if you... Somebody was like, what happens if you're telling people that they don't have to wear masks and a bunch of people die? And I'm like, live free or fucking die.
New Hampshire state motto, baby.
That's right. I'm getting it tattooed on my fucking forehead.
So,
and my dick so you could fucking suck it.
Hey,
you're like,
there it
this
is.
guy's like, holy shit. Uncle Tommy's back, kids.
So before we get out of here,
gonna be my character in WWE.
I hope that everyone's fireworks supply is fucking depleted because I've had enough of the goddamn fireworks.
Please. Hey, no more fireworks, guys. It's
Jesus
over,
Christ.
please.
I heard
bro.
a fucking Gatling gun go off. I thought I seen a guy run by with a fucking musket last night. All right. I want to thank you, Kayla, for coming in, and thank you for representing the women in armed forces, and thank you for your service, and thank you for what you do, and thank you for coming in.
Very much.
You can find us on YouTube, Deviant Gentleman Podcast. You can find us on all listening platforms at Deviant Gentleman Podcast. We are on Instagram and Facebook at Deviant Gentleman. Tommy's personal page is at tommyvext. Mine is at shane.vitkovich. You can find us online, deviantgentleman.com. You got any plugs, young lady?
No.
You can find her Instagram is the Kayla Manthey, Manthey. And I will have those feet pictures promptly. All right, thank you guys. You got anything?
No, that's it.
Right, thanks, guys.
See you later.